On the first rapper on YouTube.
Okay.
On the first rapper on Twitch. On the first rapper to get signed straight off the internet from high school to a record deal to Jimmy Iovine and Interscope Records for over $1 million. Man, stop playing with me. What? I'm the first nigga to do all type of shit.
Let them know.
I'm the first nigga to write and produce a song at 16 and go #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for however many months it was. I forgot the other girl name who did. It was a girl, I don't even know her name. Nobody never did that.
Welcome to the night section. Now, a few people are pioneers, and those same few people suffer from the pioneer's curse. I googled the term and nothing came up for a definition of the pioneer's curse, so for the sake of this video, just go with it. But essentially, being a pioneer in this context means you're the first person to bring something to the game, something new, or at least the first person to really make this shit pop. A real life example is T-Pain with autotune. He wasn't the first ever person to use autotune, but he definitely was the first person in hip hop to use it in the style and the extent that he has, as well as the guy to really make it mainstream. And like Soulja Boy, he suffered the consequence of being the pioneer, which is the pioneer's curse of being unappreciated, cast to the side, have your style stolen, jacked, flipped, reversed, without being given the just due credit, and even blackballed at a certain point in time. Everyone knows the saying, first they laugh and then they copy, and for a while now, Soulja Boy has been screaming from the rooftops that he's responsible for the majority of the artists you see today in their career. In which I agree, in the sense that he opened up a lane for a lot of the newer generation of artists to exist and thrive on the internet. This is not to take away the hard work of an individual artist, but to give credit to our predecessors and acknowledge that if it wasn't for said person, maybe we wouldn't have been able to thrive in the same way. And it seemed that back in 2019, when Soulja Boy had the Breakfast Club interview, the amnesia wore off and everybody started to recall how significant his contributions actually were. Today, I thought it would be a really cool idea to go over some of the things that Soulja Boy has done to change the landscape of the music industry and also his overall influence on pop culture, and also just discuss some of his verses that he loves to parade around and that are actually quite impressive.
The first rapper on YouTube.
Okay.
The first on YouTube, like first rapper ever on YouTube. I'm the first rapper to have his own video game console.
Number one, we have the internet. We have our Steve Jobs, Zuckerbergs, and then we have our Soulja Boy Tellums. Soulja Boy was among the first artists ever to really embrace the internet and have it be reciprocated. Now, you guys have to understand the landscape at the time. This was the early 2000s, which may feel like the stone age for some of you guys, but this was before all of the major hitters when it comes to social media, like an Instagram or like a Twitter, at least for how we know them today. And when talking about the music industry in general, this is when you still needed to rub shoulders with label heads and execs in order to have a career, but also an awkward time within the music industry because people were turning more and more towards the internet, which meant digital downloads and streaming rather than buying the traditional CDs, because why not? If you can get the music online for free, why pay for a CD? Now, labels were panicking due to the plummeting sales, and it seemed like the end of the traditional record label, but it was the beginning of independent artists taking their power back thanks to platforms like Soundclick, MySpace, and of course YouTube. And Soulja Boy was the first rapper to use these tools and gain worldwide success, the first rapper ever to go viral. Now, his come up story is incredible. I won't go too much into detail for this particular video, but if you guys do want a video specifically on Soulja Boy's come up, please let me know in the comments below. But essentially, Soulja Boy set the internet blueprint to how artists would market and distribute their songs online. 2005 was when Soulja Boy first started uploading his songs on the internet. Soundclick at the time was the precursor to a SoundCloud where artists would upload their songs for the world to listen. The difference at the time is that it wasn't nearly as interactive, and if you wanted to have the song on your listening device, you would have to pay 99 cents to $1 for it. And let's just say that Soulja Boy started gaining popularity fast.
When I first started doing music, how it popped off was we had this shit called Soundclick.
Soundclick, right.
So that was before MySpace, before everything. We had Soundclick, then my music started going up the charts on Soundclick. You know what I'm saying? I was getting 20,000 downloads a day. I was charging 99 cents for the record. They were taking half of the money, so I was making 10,000 a day.
Oh, so you started selling music off SoundClick straight off?
I started selling music off SoundClick. And I started charting on the charts. My first song went like number 27. The next one went like number 10. The next one went like number 1 over the whole charts. So I was 20,000 downloads a day, $10,000 a day, splitting the money with the Soundclick. Bam, MySpace came. Oh,
Soulja Boy then migrated to MySpace, where he can actually communicate and interact with fans, making his presence known. At that point, Soulja Boy already had songs out like Doodoo Head, Shootout, and Ya, a whole catalog of music for fans to stream. It was clear that Soulja Boy found a golden key to reaching the world without leaving his house. Fast forward to 2006, Soulja Boy really was the first rapper to register and upload a video on the platform. His first video, titled Soulja Boy's First Ever YouTube Video, was uploaded on March 15th, 2006, and YouTube officially launched on December 15th, 2005, which means Soulja Boy uploaded his first video only 3 months after the platform officially launched. Now, being the first rapper on YouTube doesn't necessarily mean anything. You can be the first at a lot of things, but that doesn't mean you're leaving an impact. The difference here with Soulja Boy is that he started using YouTube 15 years ago, exactly how artists are using the platform now, posting songs, snippets, freestyles, vlogs, performances, dances, etc. He knew the game of going viral before anybody else, which for the most part meant posting as much content as possible and connecting with the fans, which he did through YouTube, especially through MySpace. Hence his first hit song, Crank That Soulja Boy, and why it went viral. And the reason for that is, for one, the ball was already rolling with the backlog of content and music he had out. It was really only a matter of time, but also the dance that he created, which goes into number 2 of Soulja Boy's influence, the making of viral dances.
It's in a history
You
books.
can't argue, you can't, because you did it a certain way too, though, and you had the whole world doing your thing, the whole
at the same time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
in a Guinness Book
And
of
I'm
World
talking about
Records.
from babies to presidents and everything,
Crank
man.
That, Soulja
Yeah.
Boy, Superman. And then after that, every dance back came with a viral dance. And now Drake got the In My Feelings challenge. Where you
Right.
think that came from? Soulja Boy.
Now, we all know Soulja Boy wasn't the first to create signature dances to particular songs. I mean, don't you guys remember the Chicken Noodle Soup song with the Chicken Noodle Soup dance? Well, that craze came into the mainstream back in 2006, while Crank That came out a year later, which is irrelevant, but still proof that Soulja Boy wasn't the first in that scenario. However, on May 2nd of 2007, when Soulja Boy dropped Crank That, it made waves crazier than any soup. And what was so genius about the release is that at the time of the release of the single, he posted an instructional video on the Superman dance alongside with the song, to then challenge his fans on MySpace to post their own interpretations on YouTube. But before we go further, 2 things to point out. One is the fact that he knew how to use his online presence effectively to promote his song, and did it in a way that nobody has ever thought to. I mean, there were plenty of popular dances in the early 2000s, like the Sierra 1-2 step, Lean Back, or the Walk It Out, but they never used it as a marketing tool to promote their singles, and if they did, it was not on the internet, which was new and Soulja Boy was the first to do. He basically created the whole idea of challenges before it became a thing. The basic idea of this is how you do it, let's see if you could do it too. Now, secondly, Soulja Boy made the dance simple enough for anybody to follow. There were literally children doing the dance. I remember in elementary school, we were doing the dance, and if you know, when kids start liking a song or a dance, it's an automatic hit. Crank That really set the tone and standard for the industry we know today. For one, is how Soulja Boy was able to gain a following through the use of social media, which is basically the direct-to-consumer model. In those days, it was all just through radio and a big budget behind the artist, when at 16, Soulja Boy was able to have a hit literally by just uploading content online for free. And lastly, he's the precursor to the Musical.lys and TikToks, point blank period. He set the blueprint to the virality of dances, and it's crazy how now artists consciously try to craft a song that they can create a dance to for it to go viral on TikTok. An example is the Tootsie Slide by Drake or the Renegade Dance. The difference, however, is that with Soulja Boy, it was organic and shooting in the dark, because it's never been done before, when nowadays it's way more deliberate and calculated. Number 3, Soulja Boy Sound. What a lot of people don't give Soulja Boy credit for is his sound. He wasn't and still isn't one of the most lyrical or conscious rappers, but he made that fun rap, or rather that ignorant rap, which by the way in this context is not a bad thing, but a way to describe music that you can vibe or party to. And that's a lot of the music we hear today. I mean, before there was a Lil B, the bass god, there was a Soulja Boy. Not to mention his DIY approach to actually making the records, literally producing the beats from his home studio on FL Studio, being the artist, producer, and engineer. Soulja Boy was the Russ before there was a Russ, to whom we give so much credit for the DIY approach. In a Breakfast Club interview from 2018, he mentions how Drake basically, quote unquote, sampled Soulja's lyrics from What's Happening on the song Miss Me, word for word, bar for bar. And obviously I'm not quoting him verbatim, but Drake is now one of the biggest rappers in the world, and we know Drake got to where he is by his own merits. But if you believe in cause and effect, you can argue that Soulja Boy had some sort of an influence on Drake. I mean, after all, Soulja's lyrics were good enough to put in his own songs, word for word, bar for bar. And we could even look at more recent examples where we saw Ariana Grande quote unquote borrow Soulja Boy's flow on 7 Rings, which played side by side with Pretty Boy swag, sounds exactly the same. Or we have the lyrics hopped up out of bed, turn my swag on from Soulja Boy's Turn My Swag On, in which we hear variations of in Gucci Mane's Beat It Up or Beyonce's Hold On. And it was great finding out actually that Beyonce did right by Soulja Boy and actually contacted him prior to finalizing that line in the song. That gives you a clue of why she's in the position that she's in today. But the point either way is that Soulja Boy's influence is clear, and there's several more examples, but I think you guys get the point. Night section out.